That's it, Brian?
I always liked creating stuff on this old game. I used to play Trials HD, and I just got really good at it, and a lot of people started playing those tracks over and over. So I've always been the biggest fan of GTA. It's a game of all time. And when I saw that the creator came out and you could use like the same developer software, start creating your own tracks, I started making the maps that they didn't really make very good ones of, which was like off-road maps. We used to do a lot of off-road racing with the Sand King, extreme off-road racing and stuff like that. And Rockstar didn't make any maps that had anything that was more than just going down a dirt road. So I started making these extreme off-road maps, going through water, going through where the Sand King you wouldn't even think it could drive through. We just started having events every weekend with my crew and other crews, racing these off-road things, and then ended up getting like more and more popular. A couple of YouTubers picked up the map, started making some videos, and then got a bunch of people viewing it. I had a series of maps called Off-Road Orgasms, 1, 2, and 3, and those got really popular. This was like infant stages of GTA Online and the creator. Yeah, 50 props. You're using the largest props possible if you want to suspend something in the air and put something on it. Windmill Chop Derby, I had to use, I don't know, something like 50 train cars, try to make a platform. And just to get those, each train car probably took me like an hour, maybe not an hour, but it took me like, it was like a good 10, 20 minutes per prop just to get it exactly right. So it's exactly flat. It was just a long technique of things you had to do. You had to set up like a fake ground on the bottom because there was uneven ground. And then based on that fake bottom, you had to then stack props on top of each other, and you had to make sure every time you did it, it was just even with the next one. Otherwise, when you stacked them all the way to the top, 25, 30 times, you're stacking these things, you get it to the top, and it's like maybe a millimeter, or it's just a little bit different than the one next to you, and then all of a sudden you've got a seam. So you had to I'd have to redo it. It just took so many hours to do this stuff. The people that were able to glitch and figure out how to glitch all these pieces and got good at it were able to do things that people were like, how the fuck did they do that? And that's, I think, how a lot of the creators that I knew kind of got popular. It's just like the time, effort that they would put into it to make it perfect, so it would be a good playing experience, but also it was like, oh, how the hell did they do that type of thing? There was like Heist hadn't come out. This is like infant stages 360. This is like when we're just barely getting used to GTA Online, and this is like a long time ago. One of the first guys that I ever saw on Xbox to start making these curved ramps, his name was Azula, and he's from Finland. Real good creator. He's actually probably one of the top creators in the world still. He's got, I think he's got 20 million plays. He was the first creator that I saw do the curved ramps, and he learned it from somebody that no longer plays. When I started using them in my maps, then mine started getting really popular. First one that I did in the windmills called Windmill Chop. That one started getting pretty damn popular because of the curved ramps, and that's because of this guy Azula that showed me how to do these curved ramps. Ramps came out, and you could switch glitch and start throwing your car in the air like 100 times what you could do jumps of the past. I went back to what my original map was going to be, but I could never accomplish it with the creator. I went to the windmills and made Windmill Chop, where you fly, a race of supercars through the windmills, and the checkpoints are like in the windmills. So you get trolled, you get spawned into the windmill, sometimes thrown to the ground, thrown up in the air. It ended up being really popular because, I don't know, people just like getting thrown around in the air by windmills for some reason. So it got really popular, and then based on that one, I made my most popular map called Windmill Chop Derby. That's the one that's got almost 1 million plays. It's like 750,000, something like that. And that one was just it combined what people loved about the windmill, and like right at that point, it seemed like it was a really big trend. People like trying to do derbies, crash up derbies, stuff like that. Well, the concept behind making the off-road was to try to get the Sand King to go through a track that demonstrated how it can do more than any other off-road vehicle in the game. Like, kind of like you're trying to provoke people to drift more by creating good content of maps. I was trying to get people to off-road more by showing them like, holy shit, this Sand King can go through the river and not drown. It can go over rocks that no other vehicle in the game can do. It can climb this or that in such a fashion that like you couldn't do that with any other car. That was just basically the concept, and then people liked that, and we started running into other crews that were like extreme off-roading crews. And I mean, I think it was just something people liked already, and I just kind of tapped into it. Kind of like people already like drifting, they just don't know what to do. They don't have drift maps that are made. Rockstar, you know, it's like there's a need out there for it, kind of. Out of all the, you know, main creators, a lot of them were just making jump tracks, or, you know, they were making, I don't know, everyone seemed to have a specialization, but I just kind of did a little everything. But when I would do it, I would just kind of add like an element of like, what the fuck, or how the fuck did he do that in the map type of thing. There's another creator, his name is Greatler. He had a similar style to mine, and we'd find different things in the map to use. Like, I used the windmills. He went over to the major, like the waterfall area, and made a bunch of like different death matches and different things using the physics of the waterfall, that like incorporated in where I used the physics of the, you know, the windmill. And then, you know, I went and I made death training that was over the train match, and I had a train go through it and through all the dynamic objects all over the place, and, you know, just different things like that. And then he would find a glitch inside of a building you could get into, and then we'd find out how to build inside of it or something like that. Mm-hmm. Anyways, so I started just kind of finding like the darkest place in GTA and put like a fist fight with Molotov cocktails or something like that. And just based on just having some crazy maps that were sometimes fun for large lobbies. Like I had one called 100 gasoline tanks that was at the gasoline station down by the water. It literally had 100, you know, exploding tanks in it, and I was able to do that. It's something you can do, but a lot of people don't know you can do it at that point with the creator. So with all those gasoline tanks, marked it as a death match. I think the interest in that got that really popular, and actually got picked up by a Rockstar stream. And that's the one that landed on the Rockstar front page for, I don't know, like a week or so. So I mean, this is actually, when this was going on, when creators started using the ramps that were in the creator and putting together into curved ramps, which was done with a switch glitch technique. And it was something that like kind of changed everything, because people were switch glitching all sorts of stuff together, and you could create stuff that the creator wouldn't allow you to do. Different glitches were coming out where you had to like suspend. The only way that you could actually put something off the ground in the creator, you couldn't even bring it up in the air. You had to stack it on top of each other. So after that came out, then people started doing these curved ramps, and you could actually do loop and all this other stuff. But this was like before all that happened. I was doing these off-road maps like mad, and then people started playing a lot of off-road maps on these YouTube channels, and this is still 360. This is still like maybe a year after maybe a little less than a year after the creator came out. When I was getting really popular and YouTube channels are starting to like play my maps. I had Machinima playing my maps, their YouTube channel. I had Inside Gaming was, you know, they would produce a show every day with like 3 guys that play maps, and, you know, they would just up and they would play with a lobby of people, and they ended up playing almost every other day. They would play one of my maps for months. Got me even, I think, a little bit more popularity. They're just maps that were kind of good for a laugh, you know, or for a video, or for like, you know, trolling a bunch of people and having a good time with a large event of people in one lobby. And I think because of that, they started, and I mean, just continue getting popular. First one that hit with 1 million views was probably Vanoss Gaming. Vanoss Gaming, he's got like 24 million subs or something like that. Um, he made a video called "The Best GTA Mission Ever," and he put my mission on there, and he played the mission for. I mean, if you look at the timestamp at the bottom, it looked like he was playing it for hours with his friends, and he produced a pretty good like 10-minute video, and I think that video's got more than like I haven't looked at it. I think it's 50 million views, something like that. And after that is kind of when it blew up. I mean, after he had a couple million hits on that. I remember Sir Blazemore was this guy that I was kind of playing with at the time. He was also a creator. He did more like races, like wall ride stuff before wall rides. Like you had to make your own wall rides. Really good ones. But I remember him hitting me up. He's like, "Hey, bro, looks like you're famous." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "Have you checked out Vanoss Gaming?" I'm like, "No." So I checked it out, played my map, and he called it the best map ever. It was kind of cool. But I mean, I had already had Inside Gaming playing it in Machinima at that point, and they were getting like hundreds of thousands of views and stuff like that, but they weren't as popular as this guy Vanoss. But when that hit, it just like, it was all over. And then I got Rockstar playing my maps and stuff like that. Oh, it was like addicting. I just always was watching the plays go up, like which ones were people were responding to, because once people started looking me up, you know, they started going through all my maps, and I had probably, you know, 25 maps, 30 maps at the time, but they were just all really buttoned up and perfect. And then I just started seeing like which ones people were really going for, and then I started trying to make more of those, you know what I mean? And it seemed like they liked just kind of that trolling, like, I don't know, I mean, they were still fun to play. No, I didn't know how to get a hold of the YouTubers, and I just, yeah, they never contacted me or anything. It would have been cool if they did, because what I ended up doing was, for a little while, working with a couple of YouTubers that were just kind of starting. They just had like a few thousand followers. We were trying to do like a weekly event where I would release my tracks just on that, you know, for the first time on that channel. And these other two YouTubers were also creators, and they were going to do the same thing. We were going to try to make events out of it, but it just kind of fell through. I wasn't doing like the heavy lifting. They were kind of taking care of all the heavy lifting, and it just kind of fizzled out. So I just concentrated on kind of like what we were doing at the beginning, like my crew. We would just kind of put together events every weekend and just try to get more and more people together in the community, you know, working with creators, or like playing with creators and playing their different maps, and like, you know, finding new creators and having them play with us, and then playing their maps, giving them critique. We try to have like, you know, a competition. I ended up moving to Xbox One, and at that point most of my crew stayed on 360, so I ended up kind of playing with this main crew. They were doing some streams with Rockstar. They had like a really organized outfit, and I was kind of like, all right, these guys are all nice and organized, and they're doing like weekly events already. Got in with the leader of that crew. It was like 1,000 or 900 or whatever the limit was on. So I got on as a commissioner of that crew, and they had me do AK-47 monthly mindfuck. Was like it's kind of a event I used to do once a month, and I'd usually get a full lobby, and people would sign up and stuff like that, and we'd play like some of my classic maps, and then I would kind of bring out some of my new maps. The end game really was just to get a community of good people together, having a good time, no drama, a lot of creators that would kind of exchange ideas, help each other out. You know, a lot of my friends were in the top 10 creators. You know, I probably had 4 or 5 friends that were in the top 10 on a regular basis for a long time, and we would just kind of like exchange notes and different glitches that we came up with and stuff like that. So it kind of kept us in the top, you know, because we'd have an advantage over the other guys trying to come up. I don't know, there's so many more creators now. I don't know, we could be still like right up at the top. I'd like to actually check today. It's been a year since I think I've even looked at that stuff. But like things have changed so differently in the creator. It'd be kind of cool to see if anyone is really sticking out, or if it's just so many people that it's kind of blended into no one really dominating, you know what I mean? Time, I don't think there was so many people creating, right? Because it had only been out for a while, so I think we had some people dominating the top ranks, and now I don't know. I don't know if it's maybe modding guys, the guys that have like modded maps. Like if I had to guess, I bet they're some of the top ones. This is before there were modded maps out. That guy actually had the #1 death match in the world when I had the #2 death match in the world. He had one called Rise Up, but I didn't think he was modding at that time. Maybe that's why, or maybe he was. Maybe he's always been a modder. I don't know. But I never modded tracks. He always had the #1 death match over me, and I never understood why, because I just saw the picture of his map and it just looked so bland. And then I played it and I didn't get it. I think there was some mod to his maybe his map. But anyways, just coincidental when DJ brought me on that map the other day, that modded map. I'm like, holy shit, I know this guy. I think this is the guy like back in the day that was #1 deathmatch when I was 2. I was always chapped about that. I really wanted the #1 spot. It would have been nice if they would have given us like at least like, hey, thanks or something. But yeah, they just kind of felt like they thieved it all. But you know, I understand they gave us the thing to create, and you know they own it, so they get to use whatever's discovered. I just kind of feel like they paved the way, or kind of like trailblazed the way, did a lot of the work in terms of finding out like what people enjoyed doing, and like, you know, they start seeing which maps are like getting 1 million plays that are created by, you know, these creators, and then all of a sudden they start making specific props that are tailored exactly to make those types of maps, you know what I mean? For example, you know, any type of a wall ride used to be made with containers. You would have to line up containers for hours for one wall ride. One wall ride. It was like hours. And it was like, you know, stacking, switch glitching, getting it exactly right, because if it was just a little bit off on a wall ride, like a little bit of a seam, and you would fall off the wall. 30 different wall ride props, it seems like, that are just already made, pre-made. Race stuff inspired by the original creators. We used to try to make tubes, or we would try to make like a big round cage to like drive in. Like there was just all these different things that we would make. And now, especially in the stunt edition to the creator stunt track, that all that stuff is very, very original creator stuff, which is kind of cool. I mean, it's cool that some of the original creators added to that, and now it's part of the games, which is kind of cool. It'd be nice to get a little bit of money on that. No, Rockstar's never reached out to me. Never reached out to me at all. But one of their maps is actually it's kind of a basic map on the freeways, but it's this perfect supercar loop on the freeways that I created, and they actually took it exactly. I mean, it is exact. And I've got probably 25 comments on that job of people telling me like, Rockstar stole your map. So I put a comment on Rockstar's job. I said, it's really flattering that you guys liked my map, but I'd really like to take my 2.5% on the build. They never responded. Well, that is a really big mystery, because it would be smart. Other games, I think, you know, are smart enough to do that type of stuff. You know, they find somebody in the community that's just like really making a difference. You know, I've heard of them contacting these people and actually working with them, but Rockstar doesn't really do that. I don't know. You have to be Rockstar status to be talking to these guys, I guess. They're I don't know. I know that at the beginning, all the creators that were making anything that people played were glitching the creator. And at first, Rockstar really frowned upon the whole glitch in the creator. Even though we weren't modding anything, we were not using the creator the correct way, so they couldn't verify any of our map. Didn't matter how many plays that we would get just off of, the community without them, publicizing it as a verified. Obviously, when you verify something, everyone's going to get it, and you're going to get millions of plays automatically. But they would never verify anything, even if you had one glitched item in your map. So I don't think they wanted to acknowledge the glitching community of creators at the beginning. They never mentioned anything in newsletters or anything like that. And it wasn't until way, way later that they actually started acknowledging people that were creating stuff that were glitching. They eventually did, but it was like way, way later. Way too late. But I can't tell you why now. I don't know why they wouldn't look at some of the best creators on this game as potential hires, or at least they could do some work for them here and there, freelance work, give them an opportunity, see what they got. One point, when I was interested in maybe getting into this industry, I was talking to a guy at Blizzard, and he's like, yeah, the best resume you got is all these maps that you've created. I've now created, I think, it's almost 100 maps on GTA, looks like 90 something. But just having those maps with those plays, having those videos online with all these people interested in your content was kind of interested in as a dream job. A dream job would be just creating on a game that you love, Yeah, my friends list was instantly maxed out, and then I would get 50 messages on my social club every day of people trying to friend me, people trying to, invite me to their crews and stuff like that, and it just got kind of overwhelming. I had to and then eventually it just slowed down when I started not creating as much. But it was just kind of fun. Like every day I would look up my maps on YouTube every day, and I'd be surprised that somebody else is now playing my map. It'd just be like big YouTubers, little YouTubers would copy the big YouTubers doing my map. It's just like, it just amazed me how many people were watching people play my maps. I don't have enough time to make content, but I really want to. Try to dedicate some time to making some stuff. Maybe some drift tracks. What you're trying to do with the drift community and with these drift tracks is something I really like. After when I stopped having time for creating, I just started getting into drifting. And that's usually what I do, is I just kind of get into something in the game, and I just do it like mad, and then I just do it real well. Pretty much all I did was I'd create, and I'd have events, play my maps, talk to creators, create, play my maps, have events, talk to creators, talk to other people, meet new creators, find new glitches, and shit like that. That's all I do. Kind of why I changed my name to DJ Drifty. I couldn't find anybody that knew how to drift. I was the only one out of anyone in any of my crews. All the people I knew, I didn't know anybody that drifted. I knew a lot of people. I didn't know anyone that drifted. So when clubs came out, it was like, finally, I found Smooth Move, a couple other people, someone else knows how to drift in this game, or at least cares enough, spend the time to learn how to do it. You know what I mean? People usually get frustrated. If I try to give them my car and tell them to go drift around, they get frustrated really quick. I would just kind of drift around passive mode, and I would just have my name as DJ Drifty around them, and then they'd see I'm friendly, and then all of a sudden they'd get in the car, and then they'd start trying to drift, and then I ended up finding a couple people to start drifting with. But it wasn't until the clubs I started meeting Smooth Move, and then he met you or something like that, and then we connected, and then you were kind of doing kind of that same thing I was doing back in the day, but kind of getting this drift community together, making good maps to support it and stuff like that. So that's kind of what I do now. It's just kind of drift around, but I'm still trying to get used to drifting on this creator material, which is awesome, but it's way different than drifting around in the streets. And I like this community that's starting to build. It's kind of like creator community, those types of people that we built a community around back in the day, back when I was doing stuff. Just a bunch of people with common interests trying to get really good doing the same type of stuff and organize events, stuff like that.